Oh, hey. New trailer for Fast and the Furious 9. Yeah, fuck it. I'll watch it. Why not? I mean, like, I'm not that invested in the series. I mean, I'm a pretty casual fan. It's just a dumb action movie. It's not like spoilers are all that important. I mean, like, you know, what's the biggest thing they could spoil in a trailer? The resurrection of a long dead and beloved character in the series?
Surprise.
Nice clubhouse.
Could I kill myself with that? I bet I could. Hi, I like movies, and boy do I love the hell out of watching a movie in a movie theater. Remember when you were a kid and you were dumb and naive and stupid, and then your parents came in one day and were like, hey kids, let's go see Home on the Range, starring everyone's favorite canceled conservatives. While the end product of the film might have been an animated disaster that Disney wants to forget almost as much as Song of the South, the experience of going to a film when you're that young is still kind of an awesome thing. You get that big screen, the big seats, the popcorn, candy, yada yada yada, but one of the biggest things you go to a movie theater for when you're a kid are the coming attractions. That's right, today we're talking about movie trailers, or rather how I think movie trailers are kind of the worst thing in cinema today. If you type into YouTube right now, X destroyed cinema, chances are you're going to get a lot of responses. Like you'll get things like coronavirus destroyed cinema, or Disney destroyed cinema, or Netflix destroyed cinema, yada, yada, yada. But I don't see anyone talking about these goddamn movie trailers. In the world of movie trailers, I've noticed a bit of a typical pattern, and it's kind of common throughout all major films. While yes, certain films don't have quite the marketing budget as a big company like Universal or Disney, most of the time they go the following format. There's the first trailer that kind of is just, introducing you to what the movie is and giving you just a very brief rundown of what the movie is supposed to be, which is a perfectly fine, normal way of doing a trailer. If it's something really high profile, there might be a little something before that is referred to as a teaser trailer, which is even vaguer than the original trailer and is really just a sizzle reel of what you might see in the film. Those are the types of trailers that I love, and I'll definitely talk about more of those in a minute. But where they always seem to go too far for me is when you get the second trailer, which is just like, okay, I didn't need this. I didn't need this information. You already have me sold, and now you're just pushing it. Why? Why'd you have to tell me everything that was going to happen in the movie? Why'd you do that?
Why?
It's basically become a meme in any comment section for a movie trailer for the people in there that go, oh my God, thanks for showing the entire movie. But the fact that it's so common, I think highlights a pretty major problem in that movie trailers are just frankly giving away way too much of the movie. I'll start with the more severe examples of bad trailers first. And I guess we'll start with, oh boy, where to pick? So many options. I guess we'll start with Terminator Genesis, whatever, doesn't matter. It almost seems unfair to pick on it since this hollow husk of a franchise has been trying to stay alive for so many different iterations and reboots, but this one just immediately made a bad impression. Trying to pitch a soft reboot and retconning the previous films that people actually liked, yeah, probably not the best way to go. And it seems a lot of people figured that was the case in that first trailer. So, to get people back in the seats and reignite interest into the project, they made a second trailer where they just decided to spoil the major twist of the movie midway through. If you're unfamiliar with the movie, don't blame you. But there's one part in the film where one of the major characters, John Connor, turns out to be a Terminator. He gets turned into a Terminator, which, would have actually been kind of interesting to see where they ran with that in the actual movie itself. But because the response to the first trailer was so bad, they just decided to spoil it in the second trailer and see if that would reignite interest. Which brings me to a very big point with all of these movie trailers is that the reason they wind up spoiling stuff like that is by design. They know they're spoiling it, but they also know that if a film isn't really getting a lot of steam or momentum on social media, or at least as much as they want, they'll just start giving little tidbits of information. And the more tidbits and information that you show, the worse the watching experience is going to be because you're going to start seeing things coming. That admittedly could have been a kind of cool thing to see in the movie, but they just spoiled it, so I guess the surprise of that is now ruined. This was a trend that was super popular in around the years of 2016 and 2017. It feels like there were just so many characters being introduced to major films that didn't really serve the story, were definitely not in the first draft of said story, but they just included them because they wanted more people in the seats. There's a billion examples of this. Joker in Suicide Squad, Spider-Man in Civil War, Darth Vader in Rogue One. I'm not saying these characters are bad in their roles necessarily. Well, But what I am saying is if you took these characters out of the movie entirely, they would not make any difference to the main plot of the film. And I don't think it's any coincidence that all three of those characters were used heavily in the marketing of their respective films. Again, really like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think that scene in Rogue One with Darth Vader is super cool. Joker in Suicide Squad. But imagine how much cooler it would have been to see those characters if we didn't know they were in it. So in general, those are some bad examples, but to me, the piece de resistance, the creme de la creme of bad movie trailers is personified in one film in particular. And coincidentally, it just happens to be the trailer for one of my least favorite films of all time.
Don't look right! Keep your eyes shut!
Oh, what's that? You thought I'd stop making fun of this movie just because I like the Snyder Cut? Fuck no, this movie's still awful. And the trailer is only slightly worse than the end product. Look, I get it. Batman v Superman is kind of a hard sell. I understand that full-heartedly, having sat through it. But come on, did you have to give away the entire third act of the film? Literally, the entire conflict set up from the title, Batman v Superman. You just showed that the conflict concludes with them teaming up to fight Doomsday. What are you talking about? Literally every single plot point and major beat in that movie is spoiled in the trailer for the movie. The only thing I don't think they really spoil is that Superman dies, but even then I would say that doesn't really matter. Because A, he comes back like immediately in the next movie, and B, with Doomsday being spoiled and in it, if you're familiar with Doomsday, he's kind of known for doing one specific thing. So those are textbook examples of bad movie trailers, and unfortunately we get a lot of really good trailers for what wind up being kind of mediocre movies. Remember Tomorrowland? Of course you don't. It made negative money at the box office, but it had a really, really cool trailer. The trailer is the main character picking up the pin, and then it cuts to a match cut of this big open field, and that's it. That's the entire trailer. It's just her picking it up in that kind of cool scene. That's all you know about the movie at that point when that trailer came out. Well, the end product was kind of just a generic, mediocre sci-fi movie. This was a really cool way to get me interested in what the project was going to be because I didn't really know what it was going to be. But like I said, the movie itself was mediocre. And Disney actually does that a lot where they have these kind of vague trailers for movies that are just pretty eh. It's actually kind of the exact opposite method of what they did in Terminator Genisys. Instead of giving away all these details, they kind of keep details very vague to gain more intrigue through that avenue. They did that with the fifth Pirates movie, which, you know, in my opinion is the worst of the series by far. And they did it for Cars 3. Oh my God, you guys. The trailer for Cars 3 is a fucking masterpiece. You know, you think Cars 3, third Cars movie, well, you know, what do you expect? Just watch it. So the worst kinds of trailers are ones that just spoil the entire thing. Those are, in my mind, the worst. But it's also a bummer when you have a potentially really cool trailer for what winds up being a very bland, forgettable movie. That being said, going into those recent movies that I just mentioned, not knowing much about them is a pretty exciting experience, even if the movie itself isn't all that good. Kind of the main reason I don't watch movie trailers isn't even for those egregiously bad examples. It's mainly just because I feel like I could easily spoil myself by watching these trailers, even if they aren't trying to spoil me. The problem that I have with movie trailers as a whole is that they break the tension of a scene. And it doesn't matter if it's supposed to be like a tense thing, like a horror or thriller. Just the general tension that a movie is supposed to have gets broken when I know that this one scene in the trailer hasn't shown up yet, so obviously this character is going to make it through fine. Some of the best movie trailers for me are one where they just give me very brief, vague information, and then I can just run with it. That to me is fun, and that to me is a really engaging way of watching the film. But even then, I find myself just avoiding trailers in general nowadays. Just last year, I went down to the ArcLight Cinemas down here in Chicago and saw Parasite, and I did not see a single trailer for Parasite. The only thing I knew about the eventual Best Picture winner was that it won the Palme de Giorno at Cannes, and also that it was directed by the guy who did Snowpiercer. Other than that, I went into it completely blind. And I couldn't have picked a better movie to do that with because Parasite is such a great film that mixes and matches so many different genres and tones, and you never really know where it's going. I watched the trailer right after I saw the movie, and I am convinced if I watched that trailer beforehand, it would completely ruin the experience for me, because then I'd go in knowing that it is a thriller type of thing, when going in without that knowledge made it a much better experience. Same thing happened a couple years prior when a friend and I just decided, let's go see that Jeremy Renner movie where he's in the snow. Wind River is what it's called. It's a great film. Since I think that actually is an underrated gem of a film, I'm not going to spoil you in terms of what genre it is or even what it's about or anything about that. Just watch it, not knowing all that information, and I think you'll enjoy it and get close to the same experience that I had. And now I'm trying to do that for films that I'm really looking forward to nowadays. The trailer for Dune coming up, haven't even taken one whiff at it. I would rather gouge my eyes out and risk not seeing the actual movie than watch the trailer for that film. And it's not because I have no interest in watching it, it's the exact opposite. I have nothing but interest in watching it, and all the signs of how the film's gotten made and who's making it tell me that it's almost impossible to fuck up. Though I've said that before. It's got a kick-ass director, it's got a kick-ass cast, and it's based off a kick-ass book. There's literally no reason why this shouldn't be good, so I'm not going to even risk spoiling myself with what it's going to be like. Plus, also, I just feel an obligation to not watch trailers for Denis Villeneuve's movies since he wanted to keep Harrison Ford a secret in Blade Runner 2049, but then they spoiled it anyway because they wanted more people to see the movie. Because, Blade Runner's always been known as such a heavy hitter at the box office. So at the end of the day, just stop watching movie trailers. I mean, it's not saying it's easy. It's hard to do since it's always everywhere, and chances are there's going to be some tabloid article that'll spoil the contents of a trailer for you anyway. But just try to avoid it as much as you can. Stick to exclusively getting your information from Deadline, and just go from there. And for the studios, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, stop ruining your movies. Just stop it. Stop spoiling all these details that don't need to be spoiled. What happened to having your audience be surprised? What happened to having them be shocked and amazed by what you're creating? And instead you just show them on the trailer, which you're no doubt probably going to be watching on your iPhone. I hate that I don't know how to end videos.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.